Discipline isn't some magical gift from the heavens, it's fire you build in the forge. Most people, they sit around waiting for motivation to knock on the door like a pizza delivery guy. But here's the punchline: motivation is always late, and it never brings extra cheese. The Stoics knew better. They didn't wait for the mood. They created momentum and action at a time. Marcus Aurelius didn't roll out of bed thinking, I deserve 5 more minutes. No, he got up, stared down the chaos of Rome, and basically said, let's go destiny. You and me. That's the difference. Most people drift through life like a shopping cart with a broken wheel, loud, wobbly, and going in circles. The Stoics, they grabbed the handle and steered. So if you've been feeling stuck, restless, or ruled by mood, shears the truth. You don't need more time. You don't need a lucky break. What you need is a set of principles that cut through the noise and kick you into gear. And that's what today's about. 10 brutal Stoic truth seek 1, a tool, a training drill, and a little scoreboard to keep you honest. But listen closely. This isn't a Netflix binge. Don't just consume it. Pick one truth and actually live it. Because change doesn't RSVP for New Year's Eve. Change starts the second you raise your standard. Truth 1. Begin where you don't want to. The alarm rings. Your body whispers. Later. The bed pulls you back like gravity. That tiny voice bargains, just 5 more minutes. But here's the brutal truth. Every 5 more minutes is a vote for weakness. Every delay teaches your brain that comfort is captain and discipline is just a passenger. And if you've ever wondered why people don't take you seriously, sometimes it's because you've trained them not to by showing that you don't respect your own starts. Even Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, admitted he faced the same battle. Armies waited on his word, but at dawn the war was with his own inertia. In Meditations he wrote, "At dawn, when you awake unwillingly, let this thought be present: I am rising to do the work of a human being." Notice he didn't pray for an easier morning. He demanded a stronger mind. Rising wasn't a chore, it was duty. And by winning that first skirmish, he set the tone to lead an empire. The Stoics understood this well. Inertia, the drag toward comfort and a small inconvenience, it's your first and fiercest enemy. Epictetus put it plainly. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. If you want respect, you start by proving to yourself that your word is iron. And modern science agrees. A Stanford study found that people who built strict start time habits, same wake up, same work block, same training start improved their goal completion rate by 43%. Why? Because every kept promise reshapes identity. The brain starts filing you under. This is someone who does what they said when they said. And once that identity locks in, hesitation loses its grip. Now, why does this matter for respect? Because people are always watching your starts. Show up late and they talk over you. Get vague and they dismiss you. Hesitate and they dominate you. Respect rarely collapses in grand moments. It erodes drip by drip in the little delays. The friend who always cancels. The coworker who just needs 5 more minutes. The parent who says later and never shows. Over time, your word loses weight. But when you begin where you don't want to, you signal something rare. You show that moods don't dictate your moves, that you command yourself first so others learn to respect you. Here's how you train it. Call it departure discipline. For the next 7 days, choose one non-negotiable start time. Waking, writing, working, doesn't matter. But treat it like a flight. It departs on schedule with or without your mood. Log it daily like a pilot. Don't trust memory. Measure reality. And here's your metric: 5 out of 7 on-time departures. That's enough to start rewiring your identity. Picture this: you tell a colleague meeting at 9, and you consistently arrive at 8:55 calm, prepared, no excuses. After 2 weeks, the interruptions fade. They stop testing you. Respect grows, not because you demanded it, but because your discipline made it undeniable. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Delayed starts are wasted life. Every morning you are gifted 24 hours. The first hour decides the tone for all the rest. Surrender it to weakness and you chase the day. Seize it with discipline and the day follows you. So tomorrow when the alarm rings and your body pleads for comfort, answer with steel. No more deals with weakness. And remember, discipline isn't only about when you start. It's also about how you react. Because if you don't master your reactions, you'll forever be mastered by theirs. And that's where we go next. Truth two. Truth two. Control your reactions or be controlled by them. Life rarely breaks us with events. It breaks us with the stories we attach to those events. Someone ignores your text, that's the fact. But the moment you whisper, "They don't respect me," you've turned it into a story. And here's the Stoic warning: the border between fact and story is the border between strength and slavery. If you fail to hold that line, you won't just be controlled by people, you'll be controlled by your own reactions. Take Epictetus, born a slave, beaten so brutally his leg was permanently crippled, yet his words cut sharper than any sword. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. He refused to call himself broken. Pain was the fact, but broken. That was a story he never allowed to stain his soul. Fast forward to today. You send a message at 6:12 p.m. By 7, no reply. By 9, still silence. By 10, your mind is spiraling. They don't respect me. I must have done something wrong. They're ignoring me on purpose. And by midnight, you built an entire tragedy out of one missing data point. Here's the kicker: research shows that 80% of our emotional spirals are self-generated. The event is just the spark, the wildfire that's us feeding it with stories. Marcus Aurelius warned the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are red with anger, your soul stains red. If they're gray with despair, your soul fades gray. But if you control your thoughts, you reclaim your soul. Modern psychology backs this up. Harvard researcher Daniel Gilbert found that most of our emotional pain doesn't come from the event, it comes from the replay, from the story, from the endless narrating in our heads. The Stoics nailed it 2,000 years ago. It's not reality that crushes us. It's our opinion about reality. So here's your drill: fact, story, virtue. Fact: write the neutral data. Message sent at 6:12. No reply by 9. Story: write the narrative you're spinning. They don't respect me. Virtue: choose a response rooted in wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance. Example: wisdom, don't double text. Courage: start my workout. Do this 5 times this week. Don't chase perfection, chase awareness. The very act of separating fact from story drops your emotional spikes by 20 to 30% in days. I'll give you a real-life example. A client once told me he blew up at a friend who hadn't replied for 2 days. He accused him, "You don't care about me." The truth: his friend's phone had been stolen. The fact was silence. The story was betrayal. And because he chose the story, he shattered a friendship that silence alone would not have broken. Here's why this matters. The more reactive you are, the less respect you command. People can feel when your piece is up for auction. If a glance, a text, or a pause can shatter you, then they own you. But if they push and you stay grounded, your composure terrifies them, because it proves you're free. So anchor this line in your mind: my piece is mine. I don't auction it. You've learned to begin where you don't want to. You've learned to separate fact from story. But discipline doesn't end there. Because the next battlefield is action, doing the hard thing, especially when every cell in your body resists. And that's where we go in Truth 3. Truth 3, do hard things, especially when you don't feel like it. Comfort whispers to you every morning: stay in bed, skip the workout, do it tomorrow. And most people listen. But discipline doesn't whisper back, it commands: do it now. The Stoics understood this. They knew strength isn't built in easy moments. It's forged when you step forward precisely when you don't feel like it. Because every time you avoid the hard thing, you cast a vote for weakness. But every time you do it anyway, you cast a ballot for greatness. Epictetus said it bluntly: if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Translation: growth won't always look glamorous. It won't always earn applause. Sometimes choosing discipline will make others laugh at you, doubt you, even call you insane. But that's the price of growth. It's not about looking impressive, it's about becoming unbreakable. Picture this: a soldier in winter. It's dawn, the barracks are freezing, his body screams to stay under the blanket. But he rises, straps on his armor, and marches into the cold. Why? Because war doesn't wait for comfort. That soldier could be you, not on a battlefield, but in your daily battles. Against excuses, against fatigue, against moods. And modern science backs this up. Neuroscience shows motivation is tied to dopamine, a chemical that fluctuates wildly. That's why you feel unstoppable one day and exhausted the next. If you wait for motivation, you're a slave to chemistry. But discipline breaks the chain. By acting before you feel like it, you teach your brain a new truth. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. So here's your weapon, the first rep rule. You don't have to climb the whole mountain. Just take the first step. 1 rep at the gym, 1 minute of writing, 1 page of reading. Once the wheel turns, momentum takes over. James Clear put it best. The cost of your good habits is in the present. The cost of your bad habits is in the future. Your metric. Do 21st reps in the next 30 days. That's it. Track them. And here's what you'll see: about 70% of the time, 1 rep becomes many. The impossible becomes automatic once you begin. Think about Kobe Bryant. He was famous for showing up to practice at 4 a.m. Reporters asked him why. His answer was simple: because he didn't negotiate with moods. If he only trained when he felt like it, he'd miss half his greatness. His discipline wasn't glamorous. It was repetitive, boring, hard. And that's exactly why it worked. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible, and no one can keep you from this." Action by action, brick by brick. Not someday, not when you feel like it. Now. Here's the connection to respect. When you choose discipline over comfort, people see it. They might mock you at first, but secretly, they admire you. Because the world respects consistency more than excuses. And more importantly, you begin to respect yourself. And that kind of self-respect can't be shaken. So next time you feel resistance, whisper this to yourself: just 1 rep, don't want to read. Open the book, read 1 page. Don't want to run, put on your shoes, jog 1 minute. Don't want to write, type 1 sentence. Because the secret is this: the hardest step is the 100th, it's the first. Discipline won't erase struggle. It teaches you how to walk with it. And every hard thing you do builds strength that moods cannot touch. Over time, your identity shifts. You stop being someone who needs motivation. You become someone who acts regardless. So anchor this mantra in your bones. Choose the pain of discipline now, or the pain of regret later. And remember, discipline isn't just about starting and reacting. There's another enemy out there deadlier than laziness: noise, distraction, the endless scroll that steals your life one flick at a time. That's where we're headed next. Truth 4. Truth 4. Cut the noise, master. Your focus. Noise is the silent killer of greatness. Most people aren't lazy. They're simply drowning in distractions. They wake up ambitious, but by midnight, their energy is scattered across endless scrolls, half-finished tasks, and conversations that never mattered. The Stoics saw this trap 2,000 years ago. Seneca warned, if you are everywhere, you are nowhere. Attention is the rarest currency. And if you don't learn to protect it, others will gladly spend it for you. Think about your own day. You open your phone just to check one notification. 45 minutes vanish. Not because you chose it, but because you were chosen. By algorithms, by ads, by someone else's agenda. That isn't freedom. That's mental slavery. And the Stoics would call it exactly that: a failure to govern the mind. Seneca knew the chaos well. Rome was loud markets, roaring politics, boiling gossip, flying. Yet he carved out hours for solitude and thought. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Replace waste with Netflix binges, doom scrolling, or endless group chats, and his warning hasn't aged a day. Modern science agrees. The average attention span has collapsed to just 8 seconds, shorter than a goldfish. Microsoft studies show constant multitasking actually rewires your brain, lowering memory and creativity, which means every time you just check Instagram, you're not only losing minutes, you're weakening the very muscle of focus. So here's the Stoic drill. The sacred 60. Once a day, claim 1 hour for deep focus. Phone outside the room, notifications off, one task only. Treat this hour as sacred because it is. Seneca would say you're reclaiming your life minute by minute. Your metric: track 20 sacred 60 sessions this month. By session 10, tasks that used to take 3 hours will shrink into 90 minutes. By session 20, you'll see the truth: you were never short on time, you were bleeding it to noise. Bill Gates has his Think Weeks, where he disappears with books and notebooks. Out of those quiet weeks came Microsoft's boldest innovations. You don't need a week. You need an hour. One sacred 60 a day equals 365 hours a year, 9 full work weeks of undistracted creation. To make it practical, start small. The two-tab rule, never more than 2 browser tabs during deep work. The notification audit, cut 80% of your app alerts. If it's not urgent, it's not allowed. The desk reset, clear everything except the tools for your task. And here's a Stoic shortcut. Marcus Aurelius asked himself, is this necessary? Use that question like a sword. Before you reply, scroll or click pause. If it isn't necessary, drop it. Every distraction you cut is a victory for focus. And notice this, when you cut noise, people respect you more. When you don't answer instantly when you're not always available, your time becomes valuable. Ironically, silence earns more respect than constant noise. Epictetus said, if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless. Let them think you're unreachable. Because greatness is forged in focused solitude. Noise makes you feel busy. Focus makes you become powerful. The world doesn't reward half attention. It rewards mastery. And mastery demands silence, boundaries, and the courage to say no. So anchor this mantra in your mind. Attention is the tax you pay to your future. We've learned to begin when we don't want to master our reactions and to do the hard things. Now you've learned to guard your focus. But there's another trap waiting, chasing validation from others. That's where we go next. Truth 5. Truth 5. Stop seeking approval. Why do we love ourselves more than others, yet care more about their opinions than our own? Marcus Aurelius asked this nearly 2,000 years ago. And today, nothing has changed. We live in an approval economy. Every like, every comment, every nod of validation feels like a tiny paycheck to our ego. But here's the Stoic truth: approval is a leash. The moment you let someone else's opinion decide your worth, you've given away your freedom. Think about the last time you held back an idea, a dream, or even your authentic self just to avoid disapproval. Maybe you stayed quiet in a meeting. Maybe you didn't post something you believed in. Maybe you said yes when every fiber of your being wanted to say no. That's not peace, that's imprisonment. And the chains are invisible, made not of iron but of opinion. The Stoics understood this. They lived under emperors, mobs, and constant judgment. Yet Marcus wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Epictetus, born a slave, reminded his students, if you want to be free, do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do. Freedom was never about applause. It was about alignment. Modern psychology has a name for this: social validation theory. Our brains are wired to seek approval because in tribal times, rejection meant death. But today, it's not lions chasing use, it's like gossip and judgment. The brain still treats disapproval as danger-spiking cortisol, the stress hormone. That's why even small criticism stings. But here's the paradox: if you chase approval everywhere, you end up respected nowhere. So here's the Stoic drill, the lone wolf hour. Once a week, work on a personal goal with 0 announcements, 0 sharing, 0 audience. No Instagram story, no humble brag, just you and the work. Because your soul needs to remember what it feels like to act without applause. Your metric: 4 lone wolf hours this month. By the 4th, you'll notice something shocking: the absence of approval becomes fuel. You'll crave the integrity of self-trust more than the dopamine of validation. History proves the point. In the early 1980s, everyone laughed at Steve Jobs for imagining a computer in every home. He didn't wait for applause, he built. Rosa Parks didn't run a poll to see if refusing her seat would be approved. She acted. Greatness is almost always misunderstood at first. Gandhi said it best: first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Here are 3 micro practices to train your independence. Silent wins: complete 1 task this week with 0 announcement. No justification rule. When you say no, don't attach a long explanation. Disapproval reframe. When criticized, ask, is this fact or opinion? If it's opinion, let it pass like weather. Marcus gave the compass: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. B1. That is your North Star. Alignment over applause, virtue over validation, respect over performance. Science backs this up. A Harvard study found that people who act from inner values, not external approval, report 33% higher life satisfaction and 25% less anxiety. Why? Because they stop wasting energy editing themselves for an audience that will never be satisfied. And here's the paradox: the moment you stop chasing approval, you gain respect. People sense the shift. They may misunderstand you. They may even dislike you, but they cannot ignore you. Approval chasing makes you predictable. Independence makes you powerful. Approval is like sugar, sweet, addictive, and destructive in excess. What you need is substance, discipline, focus, integrity. That's the Stoic diet. And once you taste it, you'll wonder why you ever begged for scraps of applause. So anchor this mantra now: don't perform power. Become it. We've cut the noise and reclaimed our focus. Now we've cut the leash of approval. But there's another form of power: not words, not applause, silence itself. That's truth 6. Truth 6. Let silence be your strength. We live in a noisy world. Everyone's broadcasting opinions, sharing updates, posting reactions. But the Stoics taught the opposite: strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers nothing at all. Epictetus put it simply: let silence be your general rule. Why? Because words can leak energy, but silence preserves power. Think about your own life. How many times have you said something you later regretted? An angry reply, an overshare, a promise you couldn't keep. Almost everyone has. Studies show 78% of people admit to oversharing when emotional, and more than half regret it afterward. Words can't be unsent, but silence leaves no cleanup. I remember a colleague who always explained himself too much. Every time he made a mistake, he'd launch into a 5-minute defense. Nobody listened. But one day he simply said, noted, and moved on. For the first time, people respected him. Why? Because silence carried more weight than his excuses ever could. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, it is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Silence creates the pause where you can estimate rightly. And Seneca warned, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. For the Stoic speech was meant to be a scalpel, precise, measured, intentional, not a flood that drowns everyone in noise. And here's why silence is power: it protects energy. Every word costs willpower, and oversharing drains it. It creates mystery. People respect what they cannot easily read. It diffuses conflict. You can't argue with someone who won't fuel the fire. And it strengthens self-discipline, because if you can control your tongue, you can control your mind. So here's the practice. The 2-beat pause. Before you reply, inhale, count 1, 2. Then decide, do I need to speak, or can silence serve me better? In those 2 beats, 70% of knee-jerk reactions dissolve. Try this at least 10 times this week. Track how many conflicts de-escalate without your words. Aim for 10 silences in 1 week, and you'll notice stress drop by at least 20%. History gives us proof. Abraham Lincoln wrote hot letters when angry, long rants he never sent. His silence avoided wars of pride. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire in the world, yet wrote his frustrations in a private journal, not in public speeches. His silence preserved his authority. And in modern business, Tim Cook is famous for measured words. Apple rarely leaks strategy, and that silence itself creates power. You can practice this too with micro habits. Silent meetings: speak only when you have something new, not to fill air. Pause. Before posting, before sharing online, ask, does this build or does it bleed? Replace gossip with stillness. Walk away from conversations that drain dignity. Epictetus gave the reminder: we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Silence isn't emptiness, it's evidence. Evidence of discipline, of listening, of mastery. And science agrees. A University of Virginia study found that practicing mindful silence for just 15 minutes a day reduced stress by 23% and improved decision-making clarity by 31%. Why? Because silence restores the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that governs judgment and self-control. Silence also changes how people treat you. It unsettles manipulators. When you refuse to react, they lose their script. And it builds respect. Leaders who speak less but mean more are trusted more. People forget chatter, but they remember the words that follow silence. So remember, this silence is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's strategy. It's a dignity. It's choosing to conserve fire instead of throwing sparks everywhere. Your silence tells the world I am not desperate for validation. I am not shaken by noise. I am grounded. Anchor it now with this mantra. Let silence speak for your strength. We've cut the leash of approval, and now we've discovered silence as armor. But what about when you fail when mistakes are made? That's where Stoic ownership begins. That's Truth 7. Truth 7, own mistakes, no shame, no excuses. Everyone makes mistakes. That's not the issue. The issue is what happens next. The undisciplined hide, they excuse, they deny. The Stoic does something different. He faces the mistake head on. Seneca said it best, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Mistakes are not stains, they're polish. And if you don't own them, they own you. Picture this, you're late to a meeting. Your instinct, say traffic was bad, or my alarm didn't go off, but the truth, you didn't manage your time. Sure, the excuse might save you in the moment, but it chips away at credibility. In fact, workplace studies show 62% of managers lose trust in employees who regularly make excuses. Now imagine the opposite. You walk in and say, that was my mistake. I'll fix it. You're not perfect, but you've earned something rarer than perfection, respect. Because accountability is scarce, and rare things carry value. Marcus Aurelius lived this principle. He wrote in Meditations, "If anyone can refute me, show me I am mistaken, I will gladly change. For I seek the truth which never harmed anyone." For the Stoic, mistakes are not threats to the ego, they're teachers of the mind. To deny them is to deny growth. Why is owning mistakes power? 4 reasons it builds credibility. People forgive errors faster than excuses. It accelerates learning. Once you own it, the solution appears. It strengthens identity. Every honest admission is a brick in your character. And it kills shame. Because shame hides in the dark, but ownership drags it into the light. Here's the practice, the FOC loop. Fact. Ownership, correction. Facts state what happened without sugarcoating. Ownership, claim your role without deflecting. Correction, name one clear step to fix it by Friday. Do this 3 times this month, that's all. 3 loops. 3 mistakes turn into momentum. And the results, you'll see them immediately. People lean toward honesty. They pull away from excuses. Research shows employees who admit mistakes quickly are 50% more likely to retain long-term trust from peers and leaders. Why? Because truth signals reliability. Excuses signal weakness. History proves this too. Abraham Lincoln admitted errors publicly, even in wartime. It didn't weaken him. It made him human. It made him trustworthy. Marcus Aurelius did the same in his journals, constantly correcting himself on pride, on anger, on distraction. He wasn't ashamed, he was sharpening. Even modern CEOs who admit mistakes in quarterly reports often see stronger investor confidence than those who pretend everything's fine. So how do you apply this? Do a daily journal check, write 1 mistake and 1 fix. Take the no excuse challenge. Go 7 days without blaming others. Finish with Friday corrections, 1 concrete action to fix a recent error. Epictetus warned, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Ownership is not humiliation, it's education. Every correction is a doorway to strength. Think of a tree in a storm. If it bends, it survives. If it pretends the storm isn't real, it snaps. Owning mistakes is bending, not breaking. It's admitting reality, adjusting, and coming back stronger. So here's your mantra: calm, resolute. I own my past. I rise with purpose. Mistakes are inevitable. Excuses are optional. The Stoic path. Refuse shame, refuse denial, and choose responsibility. Because when you own mistakes, you build trust. When you correct them, you build strength. And that brings us to the next truth. Because not all pain comes from error. Some pain comes simply from life itself. And the Stoics had an answer: don't run from it. Make discomfort your teacher. That's Truth 8. Truth 8, make discomfort. Your teacher, discomfort, isn't your enemy, it's your tuition. Epictetus said, welcome events in whichever way they happen. The Stoic doesn't just tolerate discomfort, he studies it. Because here's the truth, every pain you avoid today turns into a chain tomorrow. But every pain you embrace becomes strength. Think about the gym. The weight burns your muscles. The sweat stings your eyes. If you run from that discomfort, you stay weak. If you push through it, your body grows stronger. Now translate that into life, rejection, failure, awkward silence. Every time you dodge them, you shrink. Every time you face them, you expand. And modern science agrees. Research shows that people who deliberately practice discomfort, cold showers, fasting, silence retreats, report 30% higher resilience scores and lower anxiety levels. Why? Because they rewire the brain. Discomfort stops being a threat and becomes a signal for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Pain isn't the wall, it's the doorway. The Stoics understood this. Life isn't a vacation, it's training. You either use discomfort or discomfort uses you. Why is discomfort power? It trains your nervous system. Stress met intentionally lowers stress reactivity. It builds emotional endurance. Small pains prepare you for bigger storms. It exposes attachments, showing where ego clings too tightly. And it builds courage. Because comfort zones don't expand by retreat. They expand only when you step in. So here's the practice: sit and name. 90 seconds, sit still. Notice sensations without drama. Tight chest, warm face, fast breath. By naming, you dissolve fear. Fog becomes data. Repeat 10 times this month. Metric 10, log sessions, your chakras pass. And expect Thisbe week 2, you'll notice resilience rising 20 to 30%. Use a 1 to 5 scale before and after each session. Track it. See the proof. The Stoics lived this way. Seneca practiced voluntary poverty, sleeping on the floor, eating coarse bread to remind himself he could survive loss. Modern Navy SEALs use cold exposure and sleep deprivation to train mental toughness. And entrepreneurs practice rejection therapy, asking for absurd favors, daily dropping their fear of failure by 40% in just 30 days. Why does it work? Neuroscience shows that naming sensations activates your prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, and calms the amygdala, the panic center. In other words, language tames chaos. Discomfort faced consciously rewires your stress response. So here are 3 simple drills you can start today. Cold shower challenge: end each shower with 30 seconds of cold, 7 days straight. Silence: practice 5 minutes a day. No phone, no distractions, just you. Rejection: drill once a day, ask boldly for feedback, a discount, a connection, and anchor yourself in this wisdom from Seneca. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Most discomfort isn't lethal, it's inflated by the mind. Face it directly and you shrink the fear while expanding your courage. Think of a blacksmith. Every strike of the hammer reshapes the metal. Every hardship, every rejection, every discomfort is one of those strikes. The question isn't, will it hurt? The question is, will you crack, or will you allow the hammer to forge you? Because discomfort is not punishment, it's tuition. You're paying for resilience, for courage, for wisdom. It stings at first, but the value compounds for life. So say it now, firm, steady, low. Discomfort is tuition. Pay it and grow. And remember, discipline isn't just about enduring pain. It's about building systems that keep you steady when motivation fades. That's truth 9. Truth 9. Systems. Spikes. Excitement is a spark. Systems are the fire. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery doesn't come from bursts of passion. It comes from habits that carry you when passion fades. Because here's the truth: spikes don't last. Systems do. Think about New Year's resolutions. January, gyms overflow. By March, 80% of people quit. Why? Because excitement burned fast, but no system kept them steady. Now compare that to the soldier who wakes at 5 a.m. Not because he feels like it, but because it's the system. That's the difference. Discipline is freedom, not mood. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You become what you give your attention to." The Stoic doesn't trust moods. He builds structures, morning routines, evening reflections, controlled diet, dedicated work blocks, systems that keep philosophy alive, not just on the page, but in action. Why do systems beat spikes? Because consistency compounds. 1% daily adds up to 37 times growth in a year. Because systems protect you from mood swings. Good day or bad day, the routine holds. Because systems cut decision fatigue. Less willpower wasted, more focus gained. And because systems prove philosophy is just explain, it's embodied. So here's your drill. 3 inputs weekly. Pick 3 things you fully control. Maybe it's 4 workouts, 5,000 words written, 10 meaningful calls. Forget the outcomes for now. Forget the scale, the sales, the applause. Systems mean you measure inputs, not what you can control. Metric hit 80% compliance for 2 weeks straight. That's success. By week 3, expect stress to drop and productivity to rise. And you're in good company. Seneca journaled daily. Marcus wrote his meditations each morning, system not mood. Modern science echoes them. James Clear showed in Atomic Habits that identity-based systems outperform goal-chasing. And Harvard research found that people who rely on routines cut stress hormones by 40% in uncertain times. Systems literally calm your biology. So what systems can you build? A morning system wake. Write 1 page, move your body, plan your top 3 tasks. An evening system review, which virtue you lived where you slipped, and name 1 correction for tomorrow. A weekly system, 3 non-negotiable inputs tracked on papier. No excuses, no hiding. Marcus reminded himself, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. Systems honor time. They make sure you don't waste life waiting for moods to arrive. So picture this: a spike is a storm. Loud, dramatic, but short. A system is a riverbed. Quiet, steady, guiding the flow of water for centuries. The real question is, do you want to be the storm or the river? Because spikes make noise. Systems build legacies. If you rely on excitement, you'll burn out. If you rely on systems, you'll outlast. So say it now: firm, grounded, unshakable. Systems keep promises, feelings can't. And here's the bridge: because the highest system isn't a checklist. It is an even discipline itself. The highest system is alignment with your character. That's truth 10. Truth 10. Stop arguing what a good person should be. Be one. The internet loves debates. Scroll long enough and you'll see people shouting about morality, politics, religion, diets, discipline. Everyone desperate to define what a good person should be. Marcus Aurelius cut through the noise with 1 sentence. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Because while others waste their lives proving, comparing, and lecturing, the Stoic wastes no time. He lives the truth. Quietly, consistently, with actions that don't need hashtags, applause, or explanations. Picture 2 people at work. One preaches nonstop about teamwork. He posts about leadership. He tells everyone we're a family here. But when things get tough, he blames, he gossips, he disappears. The other never preaches. He shows up early, helps where needed, speaks with calm, takes responsibility. Who is the real leader? Words make noise. Actions prove character. Seneca said, long is the way by precepts, short and effective by examples. In other words, speeches are slow. Example is instant. When you live aligned with virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, temperance, you stop selling morality and start embodying it. And this matters today more than ever. We live in a noise economy where social media rewards loud opinions, not quiet integrity. We live in a trust crisis where surveys show only 30% of people trust leaders because their words don't match their actions. And at a personal level, every argument drags you into chaos. But living in alignment, that brings peace. So here's your drill, the nightly 3. Each evening journal, 3 lines. Evening. Virtue lived. Did I practice wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance today? Virtue missed. Where did I fall short? Correction. What 1 step will I take tomorrow? Do this for 30 days. If you hit 21 reflections, you pass. By week 3, you'll feel it more clarity, less inner conflict. And it's not just philosophy. Harvard research shows nightly reflection boosts goal achievement by 23% and lowers anxiety. The Stoics discovered it centuries ago. Science just caught up. Think of it like planting a tree. Talking about planting doesn't give shade. Posting about trees doesn't purify the air. Only planting and watering daily makes it grow. Virtue is the same. Words about goodness fade. Acts of goodness endure. So stop preaching. Instead of saying, "I'll be healthier," cook 1 meal at home today. Instead of tweeting about kindness, check on 1 friend silently. Instead of arguing politics, volunteer 1 hour in your community. Marcus put it bluntly, don't waste what remains of your life speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit. Translation, stop policing others. Align yourself. That is enough. Life is short. Every argument you enter steals time you'll never get back. But every small act of virtue compounds into legacy. Which path will you choose, noise or nobility? So here's the truth, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Don't argue about good men, be one. Your children won't remember your speeches, they'll remember your example. Your coworkers won't remember your slogans, they'll remember your consistency. And history, it won't remember your hashtags, it will remember your actions. Say it now, firm, steady, resolved. I don't explain my philosophy, I embody it. And if this truth struck something deep in you, let it shape your actions tonight. Journal your nightly 3. Share this video with someone who debates more than they live. And subscribe to Making Life Better for more Stoic truths sharpened for modern strength. Because in the end, you don't change the world by shouting, you change it by being. You've just walked through 10 Stoic truths, each one a weapon, each one a reminder that discipline isn't found, it's forged. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If this truth hits you, let it shape your actions tonight. Journal your nightly 3. Then share this video with one person you know who debates more than they live. And subscribe to Making Life Better for more Stoic truths sharpened for modern strength. Because in the end, you don't change the world by shouting, you change it by being.